Thanks for joining us on Tandem Radio for a very special segment, By Design, focused on helping you understand how God designed you so that you may be healthy and productive in fulfilling God's purposes in your life for many years to come. Now let's join our host, health expert and public speaker, Dr. James Proodian.
Welcome to the By Design radio program. My name is Dr. James Proodian of Proodian Healthcare and ProodianHealthcare.com, where health literacy is the key to longevity. And as long as God has us on this side of eternity, my show is designed to help you and your families feel better, function better, and live as many quality, disease-free years as possible. Thanks for joining me this week. I'm looking at my calendar of events, and I cannot believe this is my 30th show. And I'm really excited about that. We're in the middle of the topic of nutrition. So this is week number 14 of nutrition. I told you guys that this topic is going to continue. I probably have a couple of weeks left. And we're actually going to start a new foundational subject matter called digestion. We'll probably start that today and get into it more aggressively next week. And then we're going to be moving into metabolic syndrome, which is also called Syndrome X, or insulin resistance. This is the pre-diabetes state that so many Americans are in. And in that sort of waiting pattern, waiting for the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. And you know me by now that our show is designed not to wait for the disease, but to take action prior to the diagnosis, because something like metabolic syndrome is reversible. So we want to get on that prior to the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. Our Bible verse, Luke 1:37, "For with God nothing is impossible." And that is the staple of our show, because I find that health education, in a manner in which it's presented, which inspires people to make positive changes in their eating habits, their psychological patterns, and their physical patterns, can make profound changes in their life. And I just want to look at it from the perspective that with better education or health literacy, we can make those daily changes in our life, those immediate action steps, to have a profound impact to the way we feel, the way we function, and how long we live. This past week, I did 2 public speaking events, one at IOA, which is an insurance company, and the other at Wentworth Property Management. These were both lunch and learn events for their staff. I have a company called Wellness at Work, and I've been a public speaker for 20 years now. And what was great about both of these seminars, I kind of liked when I get scheduled, I had to do stress management at both events. I do 60 to 70 events a year, so I never know which of the 30 different programs that I do they're going to ask for. So it was a very stressful week, not so much for me, but talking about stress. And I wanted to bring to light that some of the previous shows, stress is one of the foundational subject matters, so go back and listen to it. Today I wanted to start the show with a conversation I had with a friend. He actually is my uncle. I met him when I was 5 years old, and now I'm 47. So Mike and I have been friends and have known each other for well over 40 years. And he's one of the brightest, just most sensible, level-headed people that the Lord has blessed me with. And recently I blog every Wednesday at drproodian.com. Please feel free to become a subscriber. And I made the point in one of the shows, and I think there might have been a little bit of confusion, that he believed I might have overstated that I compared taking something that's deadly, like arsenic, and feeding your children arsenic, which none of us would do, because if you gave them too much of arsenic, they would die. Compared to the lifestyle that many Americans, and not just Americans throughout the world, are living, basically equating a quick death to a very slow death. And he thought that was overstated. So we met this week on another matter, and we were talking about it. And I wanted, when I shared with him, maybe I should have went a little more in depth with the substance of what I was stating. I want you guys to understand where I was going with that. If you look at it from the perspective that, we'll use Mike as an example. He said to me, he has type 2 diabetes and he is in his 60s. He said, I understand, meaning Mike, he's saying this, I understand that if I take good care of myself, I could slow the effect of type 2 diabetes down, I could add years to my life, and I could have a better quality of life. And I said, yes. And he said, I understand that it's my personal choice that if I don't do good things for myself, I could be inhibiting and hurting myself. And I said, yes, that's correct. He said, well, how could you compare that to arsenic? And I said, well, let's take a look at the cardiology research, and let's take a look at some of the emerging research in our from our PhDs and from the guys who write in journals. Children 10 years old, 12 years old are showing signs with advanced imaging of cardiovascular disease. So yes, I understand that having a poor, unhealthy lifestyle does not kill you as quickly as something like arsenic will. But I was, and I am, a father of 5. As a father of 5, my primary purpose as the father of 5 is to love my children. I believe to provide them a godly home and also to protect them. And I think that our culture has moved so far away from this word protection. Yes, we protect them. We lock the doors at night and do things like make sure they wear batting helmets when they play baseball. But are we protecting their arteries and their veins from being scarred and developing arteriosclerosis? Are we protecting them from obesity and type 2 diabetes? You know, type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset diabetes. They changed the name to type 2 diabetes because children get it now. You can't call it adult onset any longer. So my point with Mike was, as parents, and he's the parent of 2 and I'm the parent of 5, and as parents sitting around saying, well, you know, our children are more obese than ever. They have more type 2 diabetes than ever. Is it their fault? Are we as parents, as an adult, if we're over the age of 21, are we honestly going to blame 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds from consuming too many bad products and living a sedentary lifestyle? Where did they learn that lifestyle? So my point with Mike, as a 60-plus-year-old, it is his choice. If he chooses to smoke, which he doesn't, that would be his personal choice. If he chooses to consume excessive amounts of alcohol, that would be his choice. If he chooses to consume a bad diet and live a stressful lifestyle and not exercise, but to blame children for that same lifestyle, I believe is inappropriate and wrong, because my job as a leader in my community, as a father of 5, as the owner of a business and a Christian owner of a business, I believe it's my duty to God and my duty to my children to protect them. And not just protect them from wearing a batting helmet or making sure they're wearing the proper shin guards when they play soccer on the weekends. To protect them from also me having the knowledge to better equip them from man-made illness. Since it's looking between 70 to 90% of all chronic illness is man-made. It doesn't come from our genetics, it comes from our lifestyle. That we have to take a look at what we're doing. So I wanted to thank Mike for having a direct conversation with me about the show, about my blog. And it really was one of those moments where when you have 13 or 15 minutes in a radio show to state a position, it can be challenging. So with that as our backdrop, I hope that you go back and read some of those blogs. Let's get into digestion. As I taught you earlier, and I'm not going to go over them again, but I'll be happy to email you, there are 8 foundational building blocks to everything that Proodian Healthcare stands for, whether we're treating a patient, whether we're educating an audience. No matter what we do, there are 8 foundational building blocks. One of them is digestion. Now, I have done toxification or detoxification in earlier shows. That is also one of the 8 building blocks. But you can't really have a detoxification conversation without a digestion conversation. So let's just get into a little bit of the anatomy and physiology behind digestion. So we kind of have a good visual as to what this biological process that most of us never think about unless we have maybe an upset belly, or we have acid reflux, or we're diagnosed with something like Crohn's disease or irritable bowel syndrome or leaky gut syndrome. These are all digestive disorders. Let's start with the food we put in this hole under our nose called our mouth. And if we look at the fact that what we consume directly goes into us, we chew it. Actually, digestion begins in the mouth with certain enzymes that break down carbohydrates in the mouth. One of them is called ptyalin. And as we break down our food and we swallow it, it goes down our esophagus. Remember, we have two tubes going down. One is our trachea that leads to our lungs, and you would never want food going down the trachea. And the other is our esophagus. So as we swallow, you don't think about it. You don't have to make a decision. Let me think, should the food go down the trachea or should the food go down the esophagus? The body is designed to do it for you. It's an amazing miracle. The mechanism of digestion is one of the systems of our bodies that is truly a miracle. Now, we swallow our food, goes down our esophagus, and enters the stomach. From the stomach, which is kind of a pouch, that food is met with a lot of hydrochloric acid, and digestive enzymes start breaking down food further. It then gets pushed through into our small intestine. And don't let the word fool you. The small intestine is 27 feet long. So the diameter of the small intestine is smaller than the large intestine, but it's longer than the large intestine. So we have 27 feet of small intestine. Then it travels to the large intestine, which is about 12 feet long. And then basically, you know the rest, out and exit. So we call that transit time. The amount of time that it takes for food from the time it enters our mouth to the time it exits our body as waste, that is called digestion. Part of digestion takes place within the stomach and the small intestine, where your body takes toxins out of the food through the liver, and the liver then decides, am I going to recirculate the good nutrients through the body, or do I make this fat-soluble substance into water-soluble and then dump it into the kidneys or the gallbladder and such for waste? So we pass waste through our urine and through our bowel movements. So digestion is this about 40 feet of garden hose. When you digest food, it's got to travel down this tube. Inside this tube, some amazing things take place, and then the food is broken down into toxic waste, basically, and your body excretes it. We should be moving a bowel anywhere between 1 to 2 times a day. That is proper, healthy digestion. I lean towards 2 times a day. So with that as our quick anatomy of the digestion system, we're going to end today's show as our precursor to next week's show, where we'll pick up on digestion and what digestion means, how we could have a healthy digestion system, which is paramount to good health. And I'll leave you with that. May you have a great week. God bless you. Thank you for listening to the By Design radio program. My name is Dr. James Proodian, and thank you for listening to my show. Have a great week.
You've been listening to By Design with Dr. James Proodian of Proodian Healthcare. To learn more, visit us at tandemradio.com, that's tandemradio.com, or on Facebook. And don't forget to email us with your questions. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, hope you have a healthy week, and we look forward to you joining us next time for more fantastic insights from Dr. James Proodian on By Design, a special production of Tandem Radio.